Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really well, and many thanks to all of you who left a comment sharing what you'd like to see here on the channel during the summer months. We really appreciate your input and thought we'd kick off this first month of summer, for us here in Sweden at least, with one of your requests, which was to share some ideas for what to bring on your picnics. We love picnics and eating outdoors, so this felt like a great topic for us. And we've got 3 easy recipes for you, as well as some tips for other things you might want to bring in your basket this summer to really have a delicious and beautiful picnic. First things first though, and I'm going to show you how to make a refreshing blueberry and mint iced tea, a roasted vegetable and pesto sandwich, as well as some raw lemon and poppy seed bites for a little dessert. We'll start off with the iced tea, and it's really very easy and quick to make, and you can make it ahead as well. To begin, I pour 750 milliliters of boiling water into a jug, and then to that I'm going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar. The amount will depend on your taste, so just start with 2 tablespoons and see how you go, keeping in mind that we will add more water and ice to this later. Then I steep 6 peppermint tea bags in the hot water for at least 5 to 10 minutes. It's good to bear in mind that the jug you're using should hold at least a liter of water as well. Set the steeping tea aside and grab 150 grams worth of frozen blueberries and pour them into a flask or a jar like I'm doing here, then crush them up a little bit to release the juices. These blueberries will add a really beautiful deep bluish purple color to the tea, and of course also lots of lovely flavor. Then when the tea is finished steeping, remove the tea bags and add 250 milliliters of cold water into the jug just to start cooling down the tea before pouring it into the flask or jar with the blueberries. So now that all the base ingredients are mingling with each other in here, you can either set this in the fridge for a few hours to cool down, or simply add ice cubes if you want to take it out straight away. I usually add ice cubes just before leaving the house, even if I have cooled it in the fridge, to be honest, and it'll stay cold for longer that way, of course. And along with the ice cubes, I like to add some more flavor enhancers as well. So let me show you how to finish this thirst quencher off. Something that's always really nice in iced tea or any cool drink in the summer, I think, is fresh lemon. So I slice up 1 small lemon for this amount of liquid, and I start adding it to the jar. I'm also adding in some fresh mint sprigs, and I like to just clap them between my hands before adding it in. This releases a lot of the aroma in the herbs. I also go in with ice, and then I layer the ice, the lemon and the mint into the jar just so that you get a nice look through the glass. I just love the color of this iced tea. I think it's so vibrant and beautiful, and I love treating people to it. It's also really refreshing, so perfect for summertime. Okay, so that is my blueberry and mint iced tea, and you can find the full measurements and instructions on my website as well. As always, a link to all the recipes down below for you guys. And really you could make endless variations of this iced tea by just switching up the tea bags and fresh fruit or herb additions. Simply use the formula of sugar to liquid ratios, and the rest can be up to your preferences really. This is a favorite of ours though, and we hope you'll enjoy it as much as we do. Now before we continue on to the next recipe, I want to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video and tell you a little bit more about them. Squarespace is an all-in-one website builder with lots of great tools to create a beautiful and well-functioning website without any prior knowledge of coding or website building. Their Fluid Engine design system offers great customizable templates that will suit your style and brand. For example, they offer great blogging tools which allow you to share your stories, photos, and videos, as well as schedule your posts as you wish. You can also use Squarespace to set up your own online store, whether you sell physical, digital, digital or service products. I use Squarespace for my online photography portfolio and really enjoy how easy and intuitive it is to use the drag and drop technology to bring my creative ideas to life. So if you're thinking about creating a website for your project, check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch your site, go to squarespace.com/goodeatings for 10% off your first website or domain. Okay, so next up we have the roasted vegetable and pesto sandwich. Now I think sandwiches are a given at picnics, so I wanted to make one that is summery, but also not your everyday lunch sandwich maybe. And to start the prep for the sandwiches, I'll roast some peppers. Usually I use bell peppers, but today I've got these little mini ones, as well as some courgette and red onion. This is something you can do the day before your picnic actually, and if you wanted to, you could make a double amount and have the veg and pesto with pasta the night before, and then make these sandwiches with the leftovers. So that's just a little tip. Now let's get started. I usually use 2 bell peppers to serve 4 people, and I like to use 2 different colors. So here I've got some orange peppers and some red peppers, but any color you like will work perfect. First I cut the end off and remove all the seeds from the inside. Then I cut them into bite-sized pieces, roughly an inch wide. I use a relatively small courgette and I cut the end off and then slice it on a diagonal quite finely, but not so fine that it won't hold together well after it's been roasted, so about 1/2 centimeter wide. I also grab a red onion and peel it and then cut it into about 8 wedges. This will of course depend on the size of your onion, but just try and make it a similar size to the bell pepper pieces. Then transfer all the vegetables onto a lined baking tray and drizzle them with some olive oil, about a tablespoon. Season with salt and black pepper and then toss to coat. Spread the veggies out into an even single layer, or as even as you can get it, and then pop it in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius, fan assisted, for about 30 to 35 minutes, making sure to flip it after about 20 minutes. Now for the pesto, you can make your own or you can use store-bought. I have prepped mine ahead of time, as I think putting together a picnic basket shouldn't be too much effort. I did make a delicious mixed herb pesto in the Valentine's menu video this year, so I'll pop that in the cards and link it in the recipe post for the sandwich. You could easily make it a classic basil pesto too by just omitting the other herbs and upping the basil amount. I think for this sandwich you could use both, but I probably prefer the straight up traditional basil pesto. Before you start assembling the sandwiches, let the veggies cool and then toast your bread, or don't, do what suits you. I like to start off with a layer of vegan cream cheese, and then on one side I top the cream cheese off with a good dollop of the pesto. If you worry about the pesto dripping in your picnic basket, then you could also mix the pesto into the cream cheese. Just a little side note. Then on the other slice of bread, I layer the roasted vegetables. And to add a touch of freshness, I also like to add a handful of alfalfa sprouts, or you could use any kind of microgreens or leaves that you like. Then I close the sandwich up and that's it. So there's obviously an Italian touch to this sandwich, which is always a winner in my book. You've got the chewy bread with the tender roasted vegetables, and then the flavor boost from the pesto. And then the cream cheese just adds to that creaminess and moisture in the sandwich, making sure no bite is dry at all. I think that is a sandwich crime personally. And now for the finale in the recipe department. Before we head out into the wild, I'm going to make the raw lemon and poppy seed bites, which will serve as a little dessert in my picnic repertoire today, if you will. Again, they are really simple to make in a food processor, but you'll want to make these ahead for sure, so that they can have a moment to set a little in the freezer before you take them out. To make about 10 slices, I start by adding 1 cup's worth of raw cashews to my food processor, which is equipped with an S-blade. I also go in with 1/2 cup of desiccated coconut before I zest 1 small lemon into the food processor as well. I add a pinch of salt and then I pulse the mixture until it comes out a fine gravel-like texture. Then to add some sweetness and make it all stick together, I add 3/4 cups worth of pitted, soft and sticky dates. I buy these in the refrigerator in my supermarket, but medjool dates would work great as well. Then to continue on with sticky textures that will make everything adhere, I go in with 1 tablespoon of cashew butter or almond butter. I also squeeze in the juice of half the lemon, and this is to begin with. You can add more later if you feel like you need more tartness. I then close the food processor up again and run it on auto until everything is mainly combined. I then taste the mixture to see if I want more lemon or not, and usually I do, but it will depend on the size of your lemon. I also add in my poppy seeds at this stage, and for this amount of mixture I add 2 teaspoons worth. I also like to scrape down the sides at this point just to make sure that the last blending of the mixture will go smoothly and everything will come together. So I then blend it on auto again until it's all combined, and it should create a ball like you can see here. I use a bread tin to mold the mixture, and I like to line it with a parchment paper like so. I then transfer the mixture into the bread tin and I smooth it out using the back of a spoon or a spatula. You want to make the surface really nice and smooth. Once the mixture is well distributed, I pop it in the freezer for about 3 to 4 hours, or you could leave it there overnight or actually for several days, but at least for those 3 to 4 initial hours. So I like to make these in a bread tin so that I can cut them into fingers, but you could totally just roll them into balls as well for ease. Either way is great, and I have more of these easy to make type of raw treats in my ebook as well, like ones that have a typical Swedish chocolate ball flavor, as well as some lemon and matcha ones, for example. If you want to check it out, I'll link it in the description as usual. Now let's get these treats out of the freezer though, so we can slice them up and take them outside. When I'm feeling fancy, I like to decorate the top of the slices, and to do this I usually sprinkle some of the ingredients that have gone into the mixture over the top. So here I'm using the coconut shreds, the poppy seeds, and also adding some extra lemon zest, but this is really optional and you could also do this before you set the slices in the freezer. To finish off, I like to pat the toppings down a little bit just so that they adhere nicely to the slice. Then I simply slice the block up into about 2 cm wide slices, and they're ready to pack up and bring to your picnic or enjoy at home. To store any leftovers, I usually just keep them in the freezer and they stay nice and fresh. So now that all our homemade goods are made and ready to go, I'm going to pack them up along with some store-bought goodies to bring with us. I'll show you all of it once we're in our picnic spot, but I just wanted to say that you really don't need to do all that much yourself to have a glorious day outside. I hope you know this. There are so many great store-bought options that can fill the space of the things I've just shared the recipes for. So if you find yourself pinched for time, just make 1 or 2 things, or no things honestly, and then grab the rest in the supermarket. While it can be really nice to spend some time in the kitchen preparing some good food to bring with us to the park or a hike, the most important thing I think is that we get out and enjoy the beautiful weather while we can. So I'll show you my favorite easy to grab and bring out things shortly, but first let's head outside. Well, now that we've found our little spot here in the park, I wanted to show you what else I brought in the basket for our picnic on top of what we made earlier. And these are really things that you can bring if you want to make it a little extra fancy, or you could actually bring just these things or just the things that we made, or mix and match, obviously. And one thing I really like to do when I don't have to walk far to my picnic spot is to bring things that just makes it aesthetically pleasing. So I've got some wooden boards here, for example. I've also got some plates and cutlery, and we brought some plastic glasses because it's easier and lighter. But those things just gives it a little bit more texture, and you can plate things up really nicely, especially if you're going out with friends for the picnic or family and you want to make it a little extra special. It's always nice to bring. And then for the foodstuffs, I always think it's really nice at a picnic to have some fruit. I brought some grapes and some melon here, but obviously go with the seasons. Berries are really nice at picnics. Berries are always a crowd pleaser, I think, in the summer. And I also really think it's nice to bring any kind of dip, or you could bring vegan cheese, something that everyone can just dig into. And obviously to go with that, bring things like crackers or crisps or crudités. I've got some crackers here. I've also got some snap peas and some tomatoes, some cherry tomatoes. They're always a really nice snack that you can just grab and pop in your mouth, and it's nice and flavorful and juicy. And then for more snacky things, I always like to bring olives. This is in a glass jar. It's not the most practical. Obviously, you can transfer them to your own container or buy it in a plastic container. Not the most eco-friendly though, so consider your choices. And I've also got some nuts here. Again, just easy to snack on, and nice and salty. And that's the other thing I think is good to think about, is to have a balance between salty foods, savory foods, and sweet foods, so that you can just nibble throughout and go between one and the other. Then the final thing you need, I think, are drinks, of course. And I didn't bring any other drinks than my iced tea that I made. But other things we like are kombucha. They come easy in a bottle. Or for alcoholic drinks, you have a plethora of things to choose from. Of course, squashes and soft drinks work perfect. I think only your imagination can stop you there. And those are the things that I wanted to share with you for this picnic season. I hope you'll find it helpful. And now the only thing that's left for me to do is dig into all this goodness. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you. Take care. Bye.
Mm-hmm.